In the Palouse this weekend, which is the southwest corner of Washington near Walla Walla, Colfax, all those areas. Got up at 3:30 this morning. I'm staying in Pullman. Drove up to Steptoe Butte. You can see just rolling fields of green. Had a full moon last night, but I didn't stay up and shoot any of that. So now I'm shooting the sunrise, trying to find a composition. You can see there are clouds on the horizon, so I'm waiting for the sun to peek right through that little gap, and then it'll create all kinds of shadows and good lighting on the foreground all over the hills. So that's where I'm at. It is windy up here. It's always windy up here. So what I've discovered is if you put it on continuous shooting and just fire off like 3 to 5 shots, the first one will be blurry, but usually the middle ones are pretty sharp. So just a little trick to help you shoot in the wind, so all your photos aren't blurry because your tripod's moving and everything's moving around. So right now I'm just gonna try and find a composition, get everything in focus. When the light comes out, I'll be ready to shoot. So right now I've got this little red barn in the view. One thing also, when you're shooting in the wind, I hide behind my car. That really helps, and actually turn my stabilizer on instead of off, even though I'm on a tripod, but it does help because everything's moving around. See, the sky's probably blowing up right now, which is pretty cool. So I'm just waiting for the sun to pop through the clouds and give me some light. So the light's pretty much gone. I'm gonna head down to that tree down the road, see if I can get there. Got some good shots. I did come down the hill a little ways, you can see, but it didn't really help me out much. Just hoping to get a little more compression in the hills, but I think I need to go down quite a bit further. So I'm gonna head out of here and walk up back to my car, get my fingers warm because they're frozen because the wind is freezing cold, and then move on. So I'm at the tree. You can see it right there, probably in the sun. So I'm gonna sit here for a bit, work the composition, see what I can find, try and get a big starburst with clear skies. So I'm out of the wind, so that's really nice. That wind was brutal up there. It's just so cold, everything just freezes. Your fingers start to freeze. It's not a lot of fun. So I'm just walking my way through this really wet grass. And I didn't bring any waterproof clothing this weekend for some reason. Wasn't very smart, but that's alright. So here, see, this is what I've got for composition. Right now, there's some leading lines with the dirt and the tractor tires and the tractor tracks, I guess. So I'm gonna sit here and work the scene. So right now I've got f13, 1/100th of a second. I just tried bracketing the shot to see if I could maybe bring out some detail in the tree. When I post-process, we'll see how that goes. You can see I'm using the leading line of the grass to lead you right into the tree. Not sure how well you can see that. So this is what I've got going on right now. So I got the polarizer on, so I'll do a vertical composition, I'll do a landscape composition, because you may as well do both while you're here. And then I'm going to move over, try and get the sun in the tree, get the starburst going. You can see this is the Palouse, just rolling fields of green everywhere. So this is what I'm working on, and I'm just going to keep working the scene, see what I can come up with. So right now you can see I'm shooting right into the tree, into the sun to get the starburst. One thing that you have to do is, so I'm bracketing my exposure so I can get the foreground light enough so I can use that, but it also causes lens flare. So the trick to getting around that is if you put your hand, cover the sun, so you take your shots without your hand so you can get what you need, then you put your hand and cover the sun like that in your photo, because what that'll do is that gets rid of the lens flare, and then in Photoshop you can go in and brush in and get rid of the lens flare. It's just a little trick I've learned throughout the years. It's the 2 years I've been doing this, but it really helps get rid of, because lens flare just kind of ruins the photo. But so it's just a little trick. So yeah, you have to take more photos, but it's the best way to do it. So it is 12:30. So I got home from Steptoe Butte, ate some breakfast, went out for a 45-mile bike ride, and now I'm driving around looking for some barns, old houses. You can see I found this red barn is on the map that I'm following down a dirt road. So I've got the infrared camera out. See right there, put the IR on it. And I'm just doing all handheld stuff because it's the middle of the day and no reason for a tripod. The wind's not very strong. So I'm just driving around, seeing what I can find. There's some canola fields out east of Colfax. I'm gonna head out there. And there's, on the drive into Colfax yesterday, I saw some like really nice leading lines with the grass and the dirt. So I'm gonna go find those, shoot those. Other than that, just enjoying the nice weather. It rained pretty hard yesterday. In fact, I went to Steptoe Butte for the sunset, and it was just pouring and howling winds. And so I turned around, started driving back, and then saw a small break in the clouds. So I turned around, went back up to Steptoe Butte, and it had an okay sunset. So the clouds just lit on fire, but it didn't really light up the foreground. But at least I got some of the clouds. So I'll find some other places on the map and go from there. So I came out this road last year, and all this field outside my driver's window was canola. So bright yellow flowers. And this year, apparently there aren't any. So now I'm off somewhere else. Don't know where I'm going yet. I think I'm just gonna head out the highway because there's some leading lines that I can use out on the hillsides there. Check those out, and then the road I did my bike ride on today, it's an Almada Road, something like that. There were a couple barns out there, so I'll go check those out. A little bit of horse pasture too, some horses. Maybe I'll try some infrared horses. That should make for a decent shot, or not. You never know until you try. So the canola fields weren't there anymore. This is what I saw on the way in. That weird shape over there. So I hiked up from the highway here to get the other side. I'll probably maybe walk up right up to the very top up there. Get a better bird's eye view. I've got my 40mm prime lens on my infrared camera. The reason I like the primes is because they do not create a hot spot. So when you shoot with a zoom lens, you create a hot spot in the center. So it's like a really bright spot compared to the rest of the photo. You can take care of it with Photoshop, but it's just more of a hassle. So that's why I like using my primes. Unfortunately, I only have the 40 and the 14, so nothing in between. And I found using a zoom lens, if you try and zoom, kind of does weird things to your photo with infrared, the way the light reflects through the lens. So this is what I use. Works pretty good. The primes are usually sharper as well, so that works better for infrared because the focus point is way different. On my 14mm, infinity focus is at the 2-meter mark, I think. So it's not even close to being at infinity, but that's just what infrared does. So I'm gonna shoot from up here. Current settings I have are f11, 1/125th of a second, and ISO 100. I've also learned that a polarizer actually works pretty well with infrared. At first I thought it didn't, but when I got this lens, I didn't realize they stuck a UV filter on it as well, and that does not work. That makes your photo very purple, and it's very hard to deal with in Photoshop when it's purple to begin with. So once I took that off, found the polarizer actually works quite well. really darken up the sky. Kind of wish it didn't have the clouds on the horizon there though. You can see it's kind of a bummer, and a big truck going by. But it's all right. Keep shooting and see what we can get. Now the sun went behind the cloud. That doesn't help me with infrared. You can see it'll be out here pretty soon though. I came down the hillside. I'm on the other side of the highway to really get much closer, to kind of compress the image a little bit. Other than that, take a few more from here and then head back into Colfax, then up on the road. This is Highway 194 and Almont, something like that road, where I rode my bike today, and that'll get me to some other barns that I saw on the way. Back on Steptoe Butte, waiting for the sunset. You can see out there, I'm hoping the sun will drop down, cause some shadows and everything on the hills out there. Should be setting right around, kind of directly in front of that tree there. I think this is where I went last night. So right now I'm just kind of getting compositions figured out, so when the light changes, I'll be ready to go. I may drive up farther, who knows, but right now I'm just gonna sit here, see a lot of people. They head up to that, by the radio tower up there. There's a big flat spot up there, or you can head all the way up to the top. The road just circles around it. So I may do that too, just don't know. But that's where I am. Hopefully I'll get something good. The cloud behind me keeps drifting towards the horizon where the sun's going down, so it may ruin it for me. Hopefully not, but just never know. So far I've taken probably 10 different shots, just different compositions and checking out what I'm gonna like. So once the sun hits the golden hour, basically, I'll start casting shadows on everything. So I'll know exactly where to put the camera, what zoom to use. So this weekend I rented the Canon 100-400 Mark II. So I'm really happy with it. The pictures are really clear and crisp, sharp from end to end. And I also figured out, I thought, you know what, I'm gonna try this on my infrared camera. And it actually works pretty well. You don't get any hot spots. The color's kind of funny on them though. So when I use my 40mm prime, it's very, almost black and white looking on the screen. And this one, it's not. It's a little bit different, a little more yellow. So we'll see how it goes when I get them in post-processing. But now that I know that, I'll probably come up here tomorrow in the middle of the day, see if I can get all these infrared shots that I want to do. And the hot spots doesn't really happen until you get to like F36 or something like that. And it wasn't all that bad. So that kind of gave me some hope. So tomorrow, I'm gonna come back up here after the sunrise, after I go for a bike ride again, see what I can do. There's lots of little wildflowers and stuff that you can see. So I may get the macro stuff out, shoot that tomorrow. But other than that, just waiting for the sun to go down. So I got a few shots up there on Steptoe Butte when the sun finally popped out. Turned out pretty good. But as we were looking at the clouds, I realized it'd be a good sunset. So we came down to this tree here that I was at this morning and got the beautiful sunset. Worked out really well. A bunch of photographers all showed up down here, like Nick Page and Justin Resnick and all their students that were with them. So now I'm packed up and I'm heading back to the hotel in Pullman.